This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2025 Starcraft Autumn Ridge, model number 180 BHS. Okay, so this is a how-to video. It's not a sales video. I'm just going to show you some of the features and how they work. Okay, so you have regular crank down stabilizers, 3/4 inch crank, which comes with it. You got a power awning with LED strip. This right here is the vent for your range hood. Okay, so this is when you vent, you turn on your stove, and if you're gonna be cooking something and venting to the outside, it exits here. Okay, this is just 120 AC power. That is the vent for the LP furnace. Some storage here. That's your dump hose right there, and that is a reducer for your shoreline, your power cord. So it's a 30 amp cord, and that reduces it down to a 20 amp if you need to plug it in at home, let's say. Okay, all right. 20-pound LP tank, full, deep cycle marine battery, brand new, of course. You have your crank type tongue jack. Here we have the fill for your fresh water tank. Okay, now the most common way to get water to the tank would be here at your city water hookup. So normally you're just going to hook up the city water hookup, turn it on, and your plumbing's all set. If you happen to be camping someplace that does not have city water, like you're boondocking or something like that, you can pre-fill your fresh water tank right here. So you would fill it, and after you got to the campground, you would turn on the water pump, and it'll pump the water out of the tank. All the plumbing will work as though you have city water, but in fact you'll be pumping it from the fresh water tank. If you have city water, you don't have to worry about the pump or the fresh water tank. Okay, low point drains here. That actually looks like the fresh water tank drain right there. I think they might have put the wrong sticker there. Actually, that looks like the fresh water tank drain. So if you need to drain your fresh water tank, that's where you do it, right there. Just so you know, the type of slide rule we have is called a Schwintek. You know, there are different types. If you ever need to know what it is, it's a Schwintek. It's now owned by a company called Lippert, and they changed the name, but people will still refer to it as a Schwintek, so you'll know what they're talking about, and they'll know what you're talking about. 30-foot, 30 amp power cord. I showed you the little reducer we give you. These are your low points here. These two red and blue lines here with the valve on it. This is your gray tank here valve. Gray tank is sink and shower water, and then you have your black tank over here, which is toilet water and waste. So two different tanks, and of course that's where your dump hose hooks onto right there. Your water heater. It's a newer model. It's much more substantial than they used to be. It's a new design. So this does. Let's see. We have water plus. Let me say this backward. You have an LP gas burner here, and then you have a electric heating element also. This is where you drain it right here. Okay, never run the hot water tank without water in it. Always make sure you fill it up. Let's say it's going to be a while between your camping trips, so you drain your water tank, your hot water tank. If you have to do that, make sure you refill it before you turn it on. Okay. Okay, so this is Looking up, this tells us this is pre-wired for a Furrion backup camera kit, so you can add that on if you choose. We have them here, you can get them elsewhere. Just make sure you get the right kit to fit that housing. While we're looking up, the manufacturer states every 90 days you need to inspect your roof. Make sure there's no damage or separation where water can get through. Make sure nothing's been damaged by low branches or anything like that. You're just trying to keep ahead of any potential problems, okay? And that is a hookup that they install for it. That's in case you want to purchase a Lippert telescoping ladder for it, so it makes it easier to access the roof. So that's what all that is just the bracket that it hangs on. Okay, so let's go inside. First, when we come in the door, this is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector. It should always be green. If it's not, get it serviced. It's obviously very important. So always make sure if it stops glowing green, you get it serviced. Okay, so your power awning here. With light. Never leave it out unattended if you're not going to be at the campground. Roll it in. Your slide room switch here. Of course, when you're putting it out, make sure there's nothing on the other side that you're going to hit that will damage it or damage something else. And make sure when you bring it in, there's no obstructions inside. Okay? Now, your keys are right here. You have a 2-burner cooktop. So, let's see what we got here. Yep. So you have to light it, but you just have the 2 burners and then of course a light here. That light's telling us that the valve was open. See, if you do this, it's kind of a warning that it's not lit, but you're using gas. But if you go like this, there you have it. Okay, very simple. If it goes out, you just have to push it in again. You want it. It's got a thermocouple in it. It has to heat up so it stays lit. So it just takes a few seconds. But if it doesn't stay lit the first time, just do it again. Okay. And so on and so forth. Always travel with this shut. Never leave it open or it'll get damaged. Your vent hood it's got a light in it. It also has the fan. Your kick on there. Remember I told you about venting to the outside if you're cooking something here. Your microwave works like any other microwave. Okay. Your refrigerator is a 12-volt DC refrigerator. So it's very simple. Freezer on the bottom. So that runs on 12-volt DC also. Everything that can run on 12-volt DC and a trailer does. Some things have to be AC power, like the air conditioner or the microwave, but most other things are, they're just all 12-volt DC. Speaking of 12-volt DC, this is the power converter here. So this model will auto-detect what type of battery you have on the tongue up front. And what we have here is we have on this side, when you're plugged into shore power, we have 120 AC circuit breakers like you'd have at home, and they're labeled, right? Then that power is converted to 12-volt DC on this side, and you see you have 12-volt DC fuses, and they're labeled. Okay. Then also, this is a battery tender, so it'll sense how much energy your battery needs when you're plugged in, and it'll keep your battery charged. So when you're pulling down the road, your tow vehicle's alternator will charge your battery, and when you're plugged into shore power, your power converter will charge the battery. So it does 3 things. Well, it's your distribution panel for your AC current right here. It's a converter, AC to DC converter, and it's a battery charger. So that's the power converter. Oops, power converter. Okay. You have some storage under here, as you can see. Okay. This table, you can remove the legs and drop the tabletop down onto these cleats here, these black cleats. Use the cushions and turn this into a bed if you need to. Of course, you have your main bed here, and you have some storage underneath it. All right. Then you have your 2 bunks here, of course. Emergency window here. It works like all emergency windows in that. There's an easy one to show you. I'll just show you this one. In that, all you're going to do is push this in. You push this through, all the way through. And then over here, there's sorry about the camera work, there's a red tab there. You just grab a hold of that and pull the screen out, and you can escape during an emergency, okay? Alrighty. So, as we move to the bathroom, the toilet is typical RV toilet in that it sits right over a black tank. So, what you do is when you get to the campground, you hook up your power and your water. Then you're going to come in here, you're going to put a dose of chemical right in the bowl. Then you're going to stand on the flush pedal right here, hold it down. The water will come swirling out, and along with the chemical, it'll go into the black tank below. You hold that down long enough to put at least a gallon of water into the tank along with the chemical, and then it's ready to be used. You can use more than a gallon of water, just don't use less. If you don't do that, if you don't use water and chemical, it's considered using it dry, and it'll be a real mess. It'll get clogged up, it'll smell terrible, and just cause you problems. So always make sure you use chemical and water in it, okay? This is a GFCI plug here. All the plugs in the trailer, even the one on the outside, are wired through a GFCI. So if you're using something outside that pops, you're going to reset it in here. If for any reason you can't get, your receptacles aren't working, always think about the GFCI and come in here and make sure it's not tripped, okay? The sink and shower work pretty much like any other one. You have a fan up here, and of course more storage. As you would expect, they put storage every place they can. So when it comes to your thermostat for your furnace, this is the on-off right here. When it clicks to the right, it's off. When it clicks to the left, it's very stiff. But when it clicks to the left, it turns on. Whoops. Let me get that right there. I don't want to go overboard with it. There we go. So that's on, and then you would set the thermostat under here to hot, and it's just kicked on if you hear it. It lights automatically. It makes 3 attempts to light. It always lights within 3 attempts. If for some reason it doesn't, all you're going to do is click this off, like that, and then click it back on. And it'll go through the cycle again, okay? I just shut it off now. As soon as I shut it off, the flame went out, but it'll still cycle through, so it could take a couple minutes before it shuts down, but it's cooling down and it's just finishing out its cycle. As you use this will loosen up. This is this design hasn't changed as long as I can remember, and it's always stiff at first, so keep that in mind. What else do we have? I think we pretty much covered it. Let me look around a little bit. There's more light here, of course. You have chargers for your over here. You can see you got a charger, plus you have USB and 110 AC. Over here, this is your solar controller here. Let's see what we've got here. If we can find it. Okay, so I'm trying to see what he's got it set on. So he's got it set on flooded, which is good. So 64 degrees Fahrenheit, 14.3 volts DC in the system. This is telling you your DC current, okay? If you go back to that screen again, which will come around again, you're gaining 5.4 amps and sending it to the battery. So you're converting the sunlight into 5.4 amps and storing it in the battery. And so both the DC voltage and the amps that you're gaining are on the same screen. So here we go again, 14.5 and 3.1. So that's the most important one. You can read more about it. It tells you more things than you really need to know. But that's the most important screen right there with those two numbers on it. Of course, your amps are going to change depending on the time of day, the weather conditions outside, the position of the trailer in relation to the sun. All those kinds of things will affect it. It can go up past 7, 8 amps, 8 point whatever on a good sunny day, for example. But on a cloudy, overcast day, it can just gain an amp, 1.2, 0.8, whatever, just whatever. It can be very little gain, or it can go way up depending on the weather. Okay. So that's your DC voltage and the amount of amps you're gaining from the sun through your solar panel. Okay. So like I said, when you're pulling down the road, the charge line on your tow vehicle is using the alternator on your tow vehicle to charge the battery. When you're plugged into shore power, your power converter charges your battery. The solar panel always charges your battery depending on the conditions. So nice sunny days at noon or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you're going to gain a ton of energy. And if it's raining out, obviously you're not going to get much. So let me just look around here and look at as I'm talking to you here. Okay, this is what I missed. So this is the controller for, first of all, your water pump is right here. Remember I told you use the water pump to pump water out of the fresh water tank. If you don't have city water, well, that's one reason you'd have the water pump on. The other reason is you can use this water pump to winterize the trailer. So when you're pumping antifreeze into the system, you use the water pump. To light your water heater on gas, you use this switch here. And there's the fault up there. To light it on electric, you just do it like this. So most people will just run it on electric when they get to the campsite. You always make sure there's water in the tank first, like I said. And you'll just always have that, so you'll have a tank's worth of hot water. But if you're going to shower, or a couple people are going to shower, kick on the LP, right? And you'll have a lot more hot water. It's not on demand by any means, but it gives you much quicker recall, or much quicker turnaround, in the sense that you'll always have warm water and you'll have a lot more hot water. So keep that in mind. Generally, just run it on electric. Use the burner only when you need water, like for a shower or something like that. Okay. Then you talk about your levels. Your battery's charged. Fresh water has water in it because we're demoing it. Your black water is empty. Your gray water has a little bit in it because we're demoing it. And that's why you check your levels. That graduates up in 1/3 increments. Okay. Okay, I think that covers it. I've rambled on enough. So the last thing is your air conditioning. One knob is your thermostat. You want it up all the way, obviously. And then you have 2 fan speeds and 2 air conditioning speeds. So it works like a window air conditioner when it comes to the controls on it. Okay. Alright, so I want to thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV Detroit. Please remember what I said about inspecting the roof. You're looking for a crack or separation at any of the sealant you see up there where water could get through. You also look for damage to the roofing material or to the roofing attachments that could be caused by low branches or road debris, that sort of thing. You can't see what's happening on the roof unless you look. That's why it's important to stay ahead of anything. Odds are you won't have to do anything to the roof for years, but you just don't know that unless you have to inspect it. And the only way to see what's happening is go up there. So make sure you take care of that. And there's water in the system. The antifreeze has been purged out, so it's all set for camping still. Just remember, when it gets cold out, which is coming up, you're going to have to winterize it, okay? Thank you.